Oh, there you are, YouTube. I have a confession to make. I still watch The Walking Dead. I don't know why I say I have a confession to make, because that sort of makes it seem like it's a guilty pleasure, like I feel guilty about it. I really don't, but I have noticed that a lot of people just trash on the show anymore, but they trash on it in a way that's like, I haven't watched for 5 seasons, so they don't know what's going on right now. And just like with any show, there are highs, there are lows. Maybe you'll have a string of great episodes and then one bad one, or the other way around. But I just feel like it's not a show worth calling terrible or not worth your time fully, because just like any show, it, like I said, it has ups and downs. And speaking of ups, I just watched Here's Negan. That's what the episode was called. It's part of that whole in-between season 10, season 11. It's, I guess, considered like an extended season 10, and it exists because of COVID-19. Basically, COVID-19 shut down production. They weren't able to complete the last episode of season 10, and they were able to do that finally, finish up the special effects and things like that. But they also, during this, COVID times, completed additional episodes that were sort of these like character study episodes, doing a deep dive into these specific characters, getting to know them a little bit better, not necessarily pushing the narrative forward, but more answering questions about the past or current situations or mental states of certain characters, so that we have a deeper understanding of where they are going moving forward. And I thought this was a fantastic addition to the show, because I don't think this is the case with this show, but you can watch television and you're like, some decisions seem to happen a little too quickly. And I feel like these episodes, these in-between episodes, sort of prevented from anything like that happening, because we have a full understanding of so many characters right now, and it's just absolutely fantastic. And we're learning some backstories, we're learning so much. We're also meeting new characters. Like I think I did a reaction to the episode that had Robert Patrick in it, T-1000. That was amazing. That was a fantastic episode. And I don't think they've all been like extreme winners or anything, but that one with Robert Patrick, I think, was. I'd love to see him get nominated for like a guest Emmy or whatever those are called when, a guest star comes in. But also, Here's Negan, which was the episode I watched tonight. I believe it aired yesterday, probably 2 days ago, yesterday, something like that. And I think it was some of the best work on the entire show, not just this mini season, which it definitely was, but this entire show from season 1, when Darabont was in charge of things, to now. I feel like it's one of the greatest episodes that we've had. Jeffrey Dean Morgan plays Negan, and we get his backstory, and we learn about Lucille, his wife, not the Bat. Well, we learn about the Bat too, but we learn about him, his backstory, why he is the way he is, and the different stages that took him there. And they definitely are stages. That is what I think is the interesting thing here. We see so many different Negans here, and Jeffrey Morgan performs each one of them fantastically. We see him before, I almost said before the pandemic, before, would that count? Before the zombie apocalypse. We see him during it as a survivor, and then another, like when he's with his wife, and then after his wife, and then we see sort of the Negan, very quickly, the Negan that we knew, from earlier seasons, and we also see sort of a brand new Negan, even more new than the one from season 10. So how many did I count there? Was that like 6 Negans? We see these different stages, and each one you can tell that Jeffrey is approaching them so differently. but they make sense. It's not like such a stark contrast that it doesn't make sense. Everything that we're seeing makes sense as to why his character is acting the way they are acting. And it is, I think, Emmy-worthy stuff. I know this show doesn't really get recognized for that, other than for like makeup and stunts and things like that. But I think it's about time they include an actor in the nominations there, and it should be Jeffrey Dean Morgan for this episode because it was absolutely fantastic. I don't know where they would place it. I believe they're calling this an extended season 10, but maybe it's also a mini series because it's sort of like its own little thing, you know, this whole the COVID episodes basically. I don't know where they would place that, but I just think he is very much deserving. And when people, you know, trash on Walking Dead, I'm just thinking, I mean, yeah, you know, there's probably a season or two that you weren't that into, but there's still some great stuff happening, and I'm very sad you're missing it. I mean, you may not care, you know, but it's just like, man, so many people ditched this show, but they're missing out on so much great television. And again, just like with any television, there's good, there's bad. You get everything. It runs the gamut. So, I mean, maybe not every show. You know, there are some flawless shows out there, flawless-ish shows. And this one, you know, I think bobbles around, you know, which I find interesting. I mean, to me, that is one of the things that makes the show interesting, and why I don't want to abandon it is because it's sort of uneven in that way. And I don't know. I find that kind of interesting. I've said this before in other vlogs where I talk about how, you know, the Marvel movies are very slick but very forgettable, and, you know, because they are sort of like this well-oiled machine sort of feel to them, where the DC movies feel like they don't know what they're doing. They're grasping at straws, trying to figure out what's going to work. And for some reason, I find that a little bit more appealing because they are trying so hard. And it, you know, it's just like some work, some don't, but they feel inconsistent. But I find that interesting. That's it. Inconsistency, but in a good way. And I think that's sort of what Walking Dead is right now, because I think we got one of the greatest episodes we've ever had. And they did it with the limitations that were caused because of COVID. And that makes it all the more impressive. Not just, you know, the episode itself being fantastic, but how they made it. And I know, you know, that doesn't always go into whether or not something is good or bad, how hard you work on it, because you can work really hard on something and it can be terrible, right? But it is just interesting how they were given so many limitations because of COVID, yet they made one of these fantastic episodes that will probably go down as one of my favorite ones that I can remember. And I do like these more intimate character study episodes. I think I have a record of that when it comes to this show, where they sort of focus on one character. I really like that. There was one with John Carroll Lynch. He was in an episode, and that one had a lot of Ninja Turtles references and things like that. I don't know if you're familiar with it. Can't remember what the title is. Morgan is in it. It's sort of Morgan and John Carroll Lynch, and you know, that's one of my favorite episodes. And it's a very, you know, it's very much a character study more so than the overarching plot of what The Walking Dead is about. And that's what we had here. It was just an understanding of who Negan is, where he's coming from, and the different stages that led him to being the Negan that we knew, you know, when he killed Glenn and Abraham and everybody. And then sort of where he's at now, because we saw him, you know, this past season, but this episode we saw an even more brand new Negan, and I thought that was cool. We've seen this person evolve now in so many different ways. Did I mention this? But when we meet Negan's wife in this episode, she's being played by Jeffrey Dean Morgan's real wife, which is pretty cool. She was on One Tree Hill, I remember. But yeah, that was just really awesome. So, you know, they obviously, you know, trust each other when it comes to one another. And, you know, it's very clear that that translates to acting as well. So, I don't know. Just a fantastic episode. Can't say enough about it. I still watch Walking Dead. Very much love Walking Dead. I'm sad to see that there's only one more season left, and I think we're getting a couple movies or something like that. I don't watch any of the spin-off shows. If you watch any of the spin-off shows, can you tell me whether or not they are worth watching. I do watch The Talking Dead, that spin-off show, I guess. That's not a spin-off, but you know, an accompanying show. But like Beyond, should I be watching that? Should I be watching Fear the Walking Dead? If you like those shows, let me know. I would be curious to learn more about them, whether or not they are worth the watch or not. They probably are worth the watch, but I can't find the time currently. But I would like to, if I hear glowing reviews, make more of an effort to find the time, basically. But anyway, I think I'm going to go ahead and end this vlog, and all I have to say is Walking Dead is great. So perhaps I'll see you tomorrow for more Pure Hangout.